What's up, everybody? All right, I'm going to do the daily reading here of the language of letting go. It says, God as we understand God for July 13th. But any day that you watch this, it's meant for you to see it. God is subtle, but he is not malicious. Albert Einstein. Recovery is an intensely spiritual process that asks us to grow in our understanding of God. Our understanding may have been shaped by early religious experiences or the beliefs of those around us. We may wonder if God is as shaming and frightening as people can be. We may feel as victimized. We may wonder if God is as shaming and frightening as people can be. We may feel as victimized or abandoned by God as we have by people from our past. Trying to understand God may boggle our mind because of what we have learned and experienced so far in our life. We can learn to trust God anyway. I have grown and changed in my understanding of this power greater than myself. My understanding has not grown on an intellectual level, but because of what I have experienced since I turned my life and my will over to the care of God as I understood, or rather didn't understand God. God is real, loving, good, caring. God wants to give us all the good we can handle. The more we turn our mind and heart toward a positive understanding of God, the more God validates us. The more we thank God for who God is, who we are, and the exact nature of our present circumstances, the more God acts in our behalf. In fact, all along, God planned to act in our behalf. God is a creator, benefactor, and source. God has shown me beyond all else that how I come to understand God is not nearly as important as knowing that God understands me. Ooh. Today I will be open to growing in my understanding of my higher power. I'll be open to letting go of old, limiting, negative beliefs about God. No matter how I understand God, I will be grateful that God understands me. Yeah, I really related to, I have grown and changed in my understanding of this power greater than myself. My understanding has not grown on an intellectual level, but because of what I've experienced since I turned my life and my will over to the care of God as I understood him rather than didn't understand him. But, just because that's how my relationship with God has been as well. I know that as a child, it was like God was a punishing God, okay? And as I've developed my own connection with God, I just remember when I first initially surrendered, it's like I no longer cared if anybody thought I was crazy because I believed in God and that I was just going to surrender to this, okay? But I had like a really profound spiritual awakening one day. It was in the beginning of my sobriety, and it was at another like really low point in my life. And, I'm living in this halfway house, and I've been doing, just doing the deal, whatever I have to do for like 3 months. And then I find out that I'm pregnant, and it's like the worst freaking time for me to be pregnant. And I know for me that I couldn't have another abortion because although that's not something that I'm very proud of, when I was drinking and using drugs, I had them. And ultimately, because my first child I gave up for adoption, and the loss and the pain of that experience, like I couldn't endure it again. And part of my insanity was that I got pregnant. I continued to get pregnant, but when I got pregnant this time, I just knew that I could not have another abortion. And I knew that if I did that, I was going to be cross whatever line of crazy there is and be crazy for life. And, that was the day that I surrendered, that I just like, I was like, oh, my life is unmanageable, and, God showed me, I had this fast forward movie, which probably was like my Akashic records. They were showing me that, of who I was, like everything. Like it happened in like a split second. I got to see everything from the time I was a child until that present time of like I was 29 at the time. and I got to see how I truly was, and how what I did affected other people. And by the time I was done, I was like sitting there on my knees, and I just wanted to be someone better. And from that point forward, like I just wanted to be somebody better. And I remember standing up and looking in the mirror of the halfway house that I was living in, and just saying, "Okay, Lisa, you think you're so tough? Like let's see how tough you are, and and let's face ourselves." And that was the beginning. That was my beginning. Okay, that was my ultimate surrender towards like change. And I just remember thinking, like, if I have to be crazy, if people are going to think I'm crazy for believing in God, then I'm just going to be crazy for believing in God, because it's like I just feel like I didn't have any other options. Like, why else was I shown that, like that, my whole life like that? So anyway, that was and this part, it says, today I will be open to growing in my understanding of my higher power. I will be open to letting go of old limiting negative beliefs about God. No matter how I understand God, I will be grateful that God understands me. Yeah, because also, my God, um he teaches me things in the most obscure way at times. And I could just be like, what the fuck? I have felt abandoned. I have like screamed out and just been like, F you, what the hell, and then fallen to my knees. Fine, fine. This is what you want from me, because just as much as I can like turn my will over to God, I can snatch it right back. It's practice, it's progress, it's baby steps, one step forward, two steps back, one step forward, two steps back. It's still moving forward, right? But the one thing I do know is that when it all boils down to it, everybody else has turned away at times. But my connection with God is always there, and it strengthens. It strengthens in those times of strife, when I'm beaten down, when I think I can't do it anymore. There's a saying, God could and would if he were sought. You have to seek him. I mean, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want, but it's like seeking to understand myself, because I believe that God resides inside of me, inside of me and inside of everyone. It's like, I don't know, there's some story about like they'll hide the keys to the universe, in the most like in the place man is least likely to search for them, within. It's like it's open for anybody. Everybody has the power to change their life and do anything you absolutely want. But few people actually like step up their game to actually get there. I don't know why. We don't have to know why. All right, here we go. Ooh, the Mystical Shaman. This is the same card that came out yesterday. That's interesting. I feel like that's interesting. I'm just going to read it again because I remember it being pretty deep, right? So this is where we're at, like trusting, because I feel like it was about trust. Let's just read it. This is a symbol of the myth maker and storyteller who is neither made of nor defined by the story. Instead, he observes it, evolves through it, perceives all aspect of it. In so doing, the mystical shaman represents the ability to dream a new story, a new myth into being. He dances between worlds, wearing the cloak of the world loosely around his shoulders, and sings the world into being. He reminds us to be in the world and travel through it, but not to be defined by it or become too attached to the experience. This is the symbol of true alchemy, for all elements of life have a spiritual aspect and a material one. When we remember this, all manner of miracles and manifestations are possible. You know what else this is reminding me of? The reading, because I was finally moved to do a tarot card reading. Uh, they've just been having me sit on my hands here and just do this. So, I'm obedient and most of the time. And anyway, this, you may want to watch that video too, because it's very in connection with faith, and I'm hearing the miracles that may be. Okay, so the invitation. When the mystical shaman appears, you're invited to consider the ability to live without attachment. You are called to create and dream your life, to act on inspiration and divine impulse without fixating on the known story of success or achievement. Can you impartially observe the stories you tell yourself and others? What if you could become a mystery to yourself? Who would you become if you stopped telling the tales that have defined you up until now? You do not have to live in a story that has roots in the past. Whew. You do not have to live in a story that has roots in the past. What if there were no need to explain you to anyone, not even to yourself? The way to your most extraordinary life is to become a blank slate and allow the form of your dreams and desires to show up as it will. This is a sign of manifesting a life beyond your wildest dreams. Dude, I'm going to cry. This is like profound, right? And especially after the reading I just did, you guys got to watch it. The medicine. Be careful what you pray for. The mystical shaman cautions you against relentless attachment to a certain form that you think will make you happy, prosperous, famous, loved, etc. However, in seeing your dream come into being, had you considered what you are willing to sacrifice for it? Perhaps you have been telling yourself a certain story for so long, the story that only when you reach this particular goal will you be happy, that you will arrive. You didn't even notice you're no longer the person who wanted those outcomes. You may have moved beyond those stories. Perhaps it's time to admit to yourself that you need to imagine a new story that is more in alignment with who you have become. This is just one moment in millions of moments in the continuum of life. Let it go. Let it be just a story and move on. Better tales are waiting to be told. Damn, that I think it just all speaks for itself. I love you. It is an honor and a privilege always to connect with you. And again, I will remind anybody that's interested in a personal reading, all my information is in the description box. I am offering 50% off on my readings for the temporary. You just use sale codes SALE50 to receive that 50% off. And yeah, there you go. Thanks, guys. I love you. I hope you have an amazing, magnificent day. Bye.